everyone, I'm Stephanie Henry, an EAL lead, and today we're going to talk about the QSSSA strategy. This is a strategy that is used across content areas, across grade levels and different age groups, but it's one that in the EAL field we really like because it's great for engaging our language learners and supporting their language needs in a content level classroom. So what is QSSSA? Well, it's an instructional strategy, and we like it because it encourages participation and it increases the use of academic language by students, as well as activates prior knowledge. It's simple and requires very little planning to implement. What does QSSSA stand for? Each letter in QSSSA stands for what you're going to do with that strategy. So Q stands for question, S for signal, S for STEM, S for share, and A for assess. So the first part of this strategy to encourage participation, conversation, academic language use is to plan to ask some questions during class. So planning ahead is important for this strategy. It's not essential, but it will definitely make it run better. So think of the question you want to ask. It could be a review question to see what they've learned, or could be a think ahead question to get them thinking about a topic and maybe exploring what they already know about that topic. So for example, what do you remember about factoring equations? What are some characteristics of amphibians? What things were ironic in the story we read yesterday? So you give the students a question, and you're going to give them a signal to give you when they have come up with an answer. So the signal is really important because it builds in the wait time that language learners in particular, but all students need in order to engage with a question and come up with an answer. Without that wait time, students are going to probably just wait for the quickest person in the room to give you an answer. But by building in wait time, you're more likely to get student engagement with that question and get students thinking about what the answer could be. So what is a signal? Well, maybe it's to raise your hand when you can finish the sentence that you give them. Maybe it's put your pencil down or give a thumbs up. Maybe it's to stand up or to sit down. And use any kind of visual signal that the students can give you to indicate that they have thought about the question and come up with an answer that they believe could be correct. The next part of the strategy is to provide a stem. So a stem is a partial sentence, and it's one that all students will use to answer that question that you asked. So back to those questions from a couple slides ago, your stem for those might be the most important thing to remember about factoring equations is, or one characteristic of amphibians is, one ironic thing that happened in the story was, or for another question it might be I agree or disagree because. So the STEM is going to present some of that academic language that students often skip over if they just give the answer without the sentence stem. So words like characteristic, amphibian, factoring equations, ironic, those are words that aren't going to come up in everyday conversation. They are academic terms that are specific to your subject area. And the more students use those words themselves, even if they're using it by reading a sentence stem, the more they are going to remember those terms. So it's really important. Once all the students have given you the signal that they have an answer in mind, then you are going to get them to share their response with a partner or in a small group. So you might instruct them to turn to their partner, Or you can get creative. You can say form a group of 3 and share in height order. So the shortest person shares first, or you know, whoever has the lightest colored shoes. It's up to you. But the important part here is that they are sharing their answer in a low stress, low pressure environment, and using the sentence stem to do so. So there needs to be an expectation that everyone in the group is using that sentence stem, that they can listen to each other's answers to build confidence both with the language and the content itself, and knowing that they're going to be able to say the answer correctly and give the correct answer. So everyone in the group should have an opportunity to share their answer to your question using that sentence stem. So now that students have all had a chance to share their answers with a partner or a small group, it's time for the teacher to assess. Now, this will typically be a formative assessment, but the teacher can choose to assess a much larger number of students than they would if they were just calling on a student and asking one student that question. So they might do this by calling on a few students to respond, okay? Or they might go group to group and ask each group to provide a response from what they discussed. They might have each student hand in an exit ticket or a sticky note on a poster to show their understanding. They might have the students reflect in a journal or write the answer in their notebook using that sentence stem. So there's lots of opportunities there for formative assessment of a large number of students based on the activity that they have completed. So great. Which brings me to, why should you use QSSSA? Well, it provides structure with clear expectations. So oftentimes teachers will shy away from some of these interactive strategies because it just becomes chaos in the classroom. But the QSSSA strategy gives students that clear set of expectations because you're giving them exactly what they need to do. So you're giving them the question they need to answer, the stem they're going to use to provide that answer to the group and then to the class or the teacher. You're giving them the time to think. You're giving them an opportunity to practice sharing in a small group before you're assessing that behavior or that content with everyone. So less off-task behavior, and it's high student engagement. Like I said before, every single student in that class will be engaged with that question once they've understood the process. And it also reinforces acquisition of academic language, which will improve comprehension, improve retention, and overall make for better learning in your classroom. As far as EAL students go, it's scaffolding the language that's required for the academic task by giving them the think time with the signal, and also the stem that provides them with the academic language, and it also is giving them an idea of how their answer should be structured. So that scaffolding the language is really, really helpful for your lower to intermediate level EAL students. So I hope you give it a try. Tell me how you used it, and I will send you a QSSSA poster for your classroom. The poster that was on the last page, the last slide, I have those, and I will send you one. If you are an ASD teacher, fill out the form and it will come to you in the school mail. So I hope you'll try it, and I hope it works for you. It may take a few tries before students settle in. Like anything, it's something they have to learn to do, but it is a very, very successful strategy that teachers find a lot of success with once they implement it in their classrooms, and I think you will too.